Good morning, collective. I hope you're having an amazing day and that you're doing well and everyone around you. So I have already cleansed the space and pre-shuffled the cards, and the main deck that we're using is the Sacred Circle Tarot to begin with. And on the bottom of the deck we have the Three of Wands. So this is a time of new passion projects. You've already begun something, very exciting, and you may have had even good luck with it. However, there's much work still needed to come. And at this stage, it can say that you might need to stretch your abilities or horizons to do this. So that's the underlying energy of the reading today for the main deck. Then we have the Eight of Cups. So the Eight of Cups, excuse me, is suggesting that there has been a period here recently, or will be, a period where you need to let go of some things. So there is a sense of moving on from something. So being the first card here is very significant. It's linked here with the Two of Swords, which is all about decision making. So balancing your decision making in a sense, focusing on that you need to use your time wisely and focus on the things that really do need your attention at this time. And then we have the Queen of Discs, which is interesting because we do have the solar transit still through the zodiac sign of True Sky, Taurus. The Queen of Discs is your earth queen. Traditionally she has associated with the earth signs, and her energy here is expression. So she's advising you of the importance of taking pleasure in your own body. So the physical plane is not to be ignored, denigrated, or abused. You are unique and special. Beauty is not a matter of fitting whatever cultural stereotype is popular at the moment, but is a quality that shines from within. Also, some people think that they can separate their ego from their physical bodies. However, the physical contact nourishes the psyche and is important for physical, mental, and spiritual health. So don't be afraid to touch or hug your partner, your children, or your friends. And that being with someone that you love is a really deep form of communion. It relinquishes your ego to achieve physical and spiritual unity. True love relationships are rare and precious. So it takes much time, patience, love, and understanding to develop them. Once achieved, need to be nurtured, not endangered for the sake of mere flirtations. The desire for union is one of the most basic manifestations of the life force. Only very advanced spiritual beings are able to redirect this energy into raising of the serpent forces within. So the Queen of Discs can be an important person in your life, a feminine. She's strong and independent, practical, and very fond of good food, clothes, possessions, and pleasure. She's ambitious, she admires success and social position and covets them for herself. Security is important to her. She has her feet firmly on the ground and acts responsibly with much practical wisdom. Also is a good friend, however, is capable of using others to her own ends. So this could be you, these qualities that you're needing to develop, getting in touch with your physical self and really nurturing your physical self. Or it could be someone in your life at the moment that's and this is all about deciding, what energy to give also this part of your life or this person. The next one we have is the Lord. And so he is the father. He is, the head of the family and also the Lord of the hunt in this deck. So it's very important to be a leader at this time as well. And this is also linked here with this letting go. So you really need to take, strong steps in this letting go period. The next character we have here is the Page of Cups as our central card. So we have had him recently, and he is a masculine figure who could be of the, even a child age up to, say, late teens age range. And he's in touch with the emotional self. So he could be of the water signs, like strongly in his chart somewhere. So Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. And he can often be romantic or very loving and compassionate and caring and empathic. However, there's an immaturity to him. So you could also be getting a love offer at this time as well. So this could even be linked here with this Queen. Maybe, maybe the Queen's even has a son. That's a very watery character. And then we have the King of Wands. It's interesting how we have these three figures right here. So the King of Wands is a very passionate king. So he's linked to your fire signs. So Aries, Leo, Sag would be prominent. And he is often very spiritual. The fire is a very spiritual element. So he could have a very fiery nature. He could be very altruistic, idealistic, and warm personality. Also potentially impulsive, however, very original. So it's all about calling on learning the lesson of being a mature character of vigor and potency. So being a leader and being determined and reliable. That sometimes a leader needs to also sacrifice their own needs for the good of their followers. And that a leader needs to be strong enough to carry their decisions through. So that could be a personal aspect of the King of Wands. As an actual person, he is mature with a larger-than-life character, dynamic, lively, energetic, and a born leader with noble ideals and believes humans can and should be more than they are. When people fall short of his expectations, he is intolerant of their failures. Good causes and ideals are important to him more than material concerns or even personal relationships. So that's our King of Wands. So interesting that this could be you, or this could be you, but we have this sacred feminine, sacred masculine, and we also have this other sacred younger. So depending on, your age and your which is the water in the center here. We have a lot of water today. We have 5 cups just in the main spread here. So the next one we have is the 5 of Cups. I don't think you can really see this one. So the 5 of Cups is all about regret. So, and the positive message of this card is to look at what remains. So yes, you know, you may have some regrets about things maybe you didn't do, or things you did do that you don't wish you didn't, or, you know, things like that. Regrets are actually a higher form of emotion, but to not get stuck in it, because it doesn't really help you, you know, onwards and to grow. I mean, you can try and take those lessons and bring them with you, sure, you know, try and take the positive from the situation. However, here we have this regret linked to 2 characters. So we have the Lord, and we also have reflection of the Page of Cups. So this could be you or someone in your life that's having like pretty serious regrets at the moment. It could even be about fatherhood, because we do have the Lord here, and then we have the child. So I'm not sure if something's happened here between a father and a child. The next one we have is the 3 of Cups. So this is a much more, you know, celebratory card. It's the card of resolution, and it's about celebrating the good times with the people that you love. So that would be important to do now as well. And this is also linked in here with this Page of Cups. And that's the base card today. And then the next card we have is the 2 of Cups, which is harmony, which is also linked with our Page of Cups. So there could be a love offer or a love relationship involved in this situation. It could even be with this King of Wands, because he's also linked to these 2 of Cups. So maybe potentially this King of Wands here is a new love offer coming in for you. Maybe this Queen of Discs is you. I'm not sure, because she is linked also with the King of Wands. Or, you know, maybe this Page of Cups. But yeah, this 2 of Cups is often linked with a love offer. It can also be friendship or other, you know, business relationship, something like that. The next cards I'm going to use to clarify are the Green Witch Oracle. And on the bottom of the deck, we have the 8 of Pentacles. So the 8 of Pentacles is all about, you know, mastering what you've learned. It can mean some formal type of study, like apprenticeship or that kind of thing. So that might be involved here. Then for the abandonment, we do have the 2 of Chalices again. So we have the 2 of Cups again. So this love offer, this one, I'm not saying it's the same as the other one, it could be a different one, is linked here with the abandonment. So there might be a love offer in the past that didn't work out, and, you know, you needing to let go of that. Or it could mean that something you are letting go of will lead to a new situation, a new love offer as well. For the 2 of Swords, we have the King of our theme. So now we have our King of Swords. And this is to clarify the 2 of Swords. So that was all about making important decisions and balancing your time wisely. The King of our themes is a very sharp, intelligent, masculine figure. He's a leader in his field, you know, very intelligent. So yeah, if there is someone of that in your life, they might help you with your decision making, or you might need to take on this character type in your decision making. So be that leader, you know, really hone your mental abilities. And then for the Queen of Discs, so for the Queen of Discs, we have the 8 of Athens. So this is like your 8 of Swords. So it does imply that you have been through a period of misfortune, pain and unhappiness. So depending on the situation, I mean, this can be in a relationship, it could be like money, it really depends. Because we're linked with the Queen of Discs, it could definitely be of a financial nature. It could also be in love, because she's a figure, you know, it could be with this figure. So that you've been feeling tormented by fears of all kinds, plagued by nightmares and evil premonitions. So the positive side of this card is that you must realize that a lot of this is in your mind, and that, you know, you can change your thoughts. It's all about your approach and your attitude. If you're needing help with this, however, please seek advice from, you know, whether it's a counselor or mental health specialist in whatever area. You know, my advice is very not, you know, accurate for everyone's situation. You know, this is a general reading. So the next one we have for the Lord, we have the Nine of our themes. So the Nine of our themes is similar to the last situation. So the Nine is very much about, you know, the nightmares and the fears and anxieties. However, the last one was more about like being blinded and not, you know, and restricted and, you know, in a sense of bondage, which was also like of the mind, like being bound to these fears and things. And that, you know, it's got the same advice of, you know, realizing that it is in your mind, that it is like a figment of your imagination, and, you know, trying to move on from it, like I said, whichever way you can. So you might need help with that. There are different people that can help with, you know, obviously like mental health challenges. But this is linked here with the Lord. So if the Lord is you, it could be you. However, if the Lord is not, this could be someone that you are linked to that has been having these, you know, fears and anxieties and nightmares and things going on in their life. And I mean, I'm not saying it is or it isn't, because here we have them on the periphery of the main. So it could be someone in your periphery. You know, it's not the central card. So this Page of Cups clarifier is the Six of Wands. So the Six of Wands is a really positive card for success and victory and celebration, but in a extroverted community, you know, outward manner, where people, even others, are celebrating your success. It's not the end of a journey or anything like that, but it's a very high focal point at the moment. And this is linked here with this Page of Cups. So it could be a young child or just some emotional development that's still new. For the King of Wands, we have the Two of Wands. So the Two of Wands is about new passion projects and new directions in life, and, you know, looking to new experiences. Is very much linked with willpower, vision, you know, dedication. There's a very intellectual warrior aspect to this card. It does have some risk attached. However, it's kind of like saying, you know, if you don't reach out, like, without risk, there's not the opportunity either. So, and this is for this King of Wands. So this is like this potential figure or aspect in your life. Then we have, for the Five of Cups, which was about regret, Interesting. Okay, so we have the Six of Athens, or Six of Swords here to clarify. So this is definitely saying that, yes, some regrets have occurred or are occurring, but you will move on from this. You'll move on from this successfully. You know, there's been some rough waters, but there is a passage now through these rough times. And, you know, it's good to folk to look forward, to not look back. You know, obviously, whatever grieving you need to do it. However, try to look to the positive things in your life to carry you forward into your future. And then for the Three of Cups, which was all about celebration, we have the Ace of Athens. So you might find in this time, when you do allow yourself to relax and celebrate and go out with others, that you get new ideas. It might even be that other people are talking to you and then you just get an idea of something. And this could be like something new that comes and that you might actually end up developing further on. So if you do, then maybe you should write them down for the future. And then for the Two of Cups, we have the Four of Chalices. So this love offer that's coming in, which could be multiple people here. I see a king, I see a page, both linked to it. And then we also have the Two of Chalices at the top, linked to the King of Athens as well. So there's potentially 3 or more characters here. We have this Four of Chalices, which is this card of, you know, boredom, discontent, you know, just not being happy with your lot and not excited about anything. You know, I would say that there is an element of depression potentially. You know, she won't even look at this person approaching. Yeah, so maybe none of these offers at the moment actually even look appealing to you. So, yeah. Could be worse. The next cards I'm going to use are the Earth Magic Oracle, and on the bottom of the deck we have compassion. So that's a lovely card. So maybe this is a love reading. It is involved in love to some degree. But yeah, compassion's always a really important force to work with. So for our top card, which was to do with the decision making and being a leader in your own way, or being led by this King of Athens, we have Shaman, ancient healing wisdom. So this mental decision making, you know, balancing situation with this leader, or you being a leader, could actually really bring ancient healing wisdom to you. So whether that's, you know, from ancestral wounds or just things that have even happened in this life. Then for this Page of Cups, Six of Wands, so success of this reflections, we have forest breath. So the breath is a very important, you know, force to work with. I'm just going to read a little bit from the book, however, because I want it to be more succinct with our message here. Okay, so it's very simple. It's very much about breathing and how important it is to breathe, and that a lot of us actually breathe quite shallowly, and it's a really unhealthy habit, because obviously not only do we need the oxygen in our lungs, but we also need to expel the old carbon dioxide, which is quite toxic to us. And I mean, the trees love it though. And then also the act of breathing itself really helps move, you know, like everything through your body. You know, it really, it cuts out like the stagnant energies in your body. It stimulates, you know, your liver and your digestion. Even, you know, just helping with the blood flow to, like the healthy blood flow, like oxygenated blood to your heart and your organs, and even the lymph, the flow of the lymph around your body, so your immune system. It's so important, and especially walking in a forest. If you can do some forest bathing at this time, this would be a really good time to do it. I tend to walk most days and often in the forest, and I do find that it does really help me, you know, to wake up my mind. I do it in the mornings and help with my mental health, my physical health, obviously. But yeah, so that is a really positive thing if you can do that, or even just, it doesn't have to be in a forest, but even somewhere where there are trees, you know, around, even if it's just a pathway with some trees next to it or something. But yeah, exercise is so important for our whole body and mind. I think even spirit too. I do think there's a very spiritual component to breathing. You know, we can survive so long without water and food. However, without air, we can't survive very long at all, like a couple of minutes or something, and the brain starts to die. It's very precious, and it's quite beautifully mysterious. I was actually thinking about this on my walk this morning because, you know, it's funny how our body will naturally breathe, you know, due to the brain when we're not thinking about it, but then we can consciously also control it. And I don't know, it's such a funny relationship, you know, the consciousness of breath and the non-consciousness of breath, and how important it is to our life. It's really quite spiritual. Like, I would say almost on par to like the creation of life. Obviously it's a totally different event, but yeah, it's such a thing that we kind of don't even think about most of the time, obviously. And then interestingly too, that the trees in the forest are very linked in with Taurus, which is where the sun is right now. In the northern hemisphere, obviously spring would be in full swing, and it's probably very beautiful in the forest over there right now. Here we still have, I mean, the nature here is mostly evergreens. So most of the Australian native trees aren't deciduous. Most of them are evergreen trees here. You know, the gums, we have our own kind of native pines and, you know, coachwoods and things like that. Some of them might be like semi-deciduous, like the coachwoods and stuff. However, I think there's only one true deciduous tree in all of Australia, and it's actually in Tasmania, in this specific area. I don't even think it goes all over Tasmania. I would love to actually see them in the autumn, winter one time. So yeah, so it's quite different here. I mean, you do see deciduous trees, but they're obviously been brought here, and because the colony here is so well over 200 years old, you know, some of these trees are quite ancient, like huge, depending on obviously when they were planted. You know, nothing like some other countries. However, the last card we have here today is winter solstice, which we are getting quite near down here. However, if you're in the northern hemisphere, it could be far away, or depending on when you see this reading, it might not be. So it really depends when this reading appears for you. And this is linked to our celebration New Ideas phase. So you might find that these new ideas could come in the winter solstice, or there could be some significance with the winter solstice with these ideas. I often find that it is a bit like that, the winter time, you know, it's more, you know, internal and kind of slowed down, but you get different things, you know, you get more of a stillness and a peace that can lead to, you know, idea development or, you know, different projects. I know for me with the cycles, it really does affect me. However, I do live in an area that has quite significant cycles. You know, in the north, they've only really got the two, the wet and the dry season. The next cards I'm going to read from are the Green Witch Oracle cards. On the bottom of the deck, once again, we have winter, an ending, recharging, reflection. So the winter time is quite significant for this reading. And also the winter time, yeah, like I was saying, it's also about a process. It's almost like an inner process too. It doesn't have to be just on that external level of the environment. You know, like here it was saying, you know, recharging, reflection, you know, an ending, you know, springs linked to beginnings, that kind of thing. So for our shaman, ancient healing wisdom, we have earth, peace, and grounding. So this ancient healing wisdom will bring you much peace and grounding, which is lovely because this was very mental. These two sword cards together is very much, you know, potential to get a bit too stuck up in your head. So there will be a grounding process with that energy. Then for the forest and the breath, beautifully we have mint, which is also a herb that does grow in the forest, or at least on the periphery of the forest, like in the meadow kind of areas. And it's linked to abundance, persistence, and proliferation. It's nice, it has a little Fehu rune there too. So this is for our reflection, celebration, success and victory. This breath, so focusing on your breath, and there's abundance coming in for you. And then the last one we have is moon, phases, cycles, and intuition, linked with this reflection or winter solstice. I know here at the end of this month we have the full moon in True Sky Scorpio. It's actually a quite interesting full moon coming up because it's conjoined one of the royal stars, Antares, which is, some say, linked to the archangel Uriel, which can be linked to like healing, which is interesting because we did have like the shaman, this ancient healing energy coming into this reading. Also, it is very much linked in with warriors as well. So it's like the warrior star, the guardian. I think it's the one with the flaming sword. So this resolution, new ideas, reflection on them with this moon, phases, cycles, and intuition. So the next cards I'm going to read from are the Nature Speak Oracle. And on the bottom of the deck we have Spiritual Quest, which is interesting considering I was talking about Antares, because Antares is a very spiritual star as well. So at the top we have Hot Spring, return to the sacred, and then Earth, peace and grounding. So now we've got water coming in with this healing, which is lovely. So we're grounded, and then we've also got this healing from the waters. And obviously a spring is a very mineralized water, so it's like got that earth element in it. It's not an empty water like rain, which has more of the air in it. Then for the central card we have violet. Keep things simple. Wow, we've got two herbs next to each other. That is really interesting. Also, even though we don't have the winter card here, the violets do flower in the winter, and they are good for sore throats and things. The mint too. I often use in mouth washes and breath, breath mints and things, which is funny that we've got the mint and the breath, minty breath, and then violet as well. It's interesting. So potentially maybe someone does have some kind of throat condition or lung thing going on. So herbs really are a good way to help with some of these things. You know, I'm not a doctor, so obviously I'm not prescribing medications, which, you know, you would do if you have these issues and go to the doctor. However, you know, there are things that plants can do that aren't in medicines yet. You can always get plant medicines as well to help facilitate, you know, whether it's a mucilage, or yeah, whether, I mean, these aren't specifically, it's more the essential oils in the mint that are going to be helping with the digestion and, you know, the fresh breath and that element. And then with the violet, so there are essential oils. Perfumed violets are so amazing. It's probably one of my favorite scents. When I was younger, I was in a garden club and for many years, and this lady did a lecture on perfumed violets, and her whole stall, she had, it seemed like hundreds of varieties of these perfumed violets, all different colors. And I bought quite a lot. I didn't have a lot of money at the time, but she didn't even want very much money for them. And I actually knew her already somewhat. And I had an amazing violet patch, which reminds me I should try to go and get some of them and pot them up, because they're probably all coming out in flower, and so I can actually go and tell which one's which, you know, because you can't really tell from the leaves, and they probably by now would have hybridized, because this is a long time ago. I'm talking like 20 years ago or something. So yeah, anyway. Next one we have is maple. Relationship balance, which once again, I grew up in a garden with huge maple trees, and I even planted a sugar maple, which would probably be ready for harvest around now too. Yes, this is for the phases, cycles, and intuition. Relationship balance. So now we have a card with relationship in it. So maybe this reflection, this idea is about this relationship balance. How maybe you do have people that you celebrate with. However, maybe at times it's too much, you know, you're spending too much time with these people that you love and you're not getting enough work done. Or maybe the opposite, you're working too hard and you're not spending enough time with the people you do love. You know, relationship balance is really important, just like it's like the work-life balance. It's also the family life balance too. So your intuition would be telling you, you know, what applies here. So the last deck of cards I have today to read from is the Australian Wildflower reading cards, and on the bottom of the deck we have Baronia, Clarity, and then we have Waratah, Survival, Billy Buttons, Peace, and Cooktown, Orchid, Attitude. So our lovely Waratah is first. Such a striking plant. I personally feel like I think it's beautiful in a garden, and you can actually cultivate them to grow amazing in a garden too. However, when you see them in the bush, they have such a magical quality. You know, these bright red, you can get white ones. However, they could be a cultivated form. I'm not sure if they're native, but the red ones are. You know, they grow quite tall, and these flowers are quite huge, and they last a long time as well. So no wonder it's linked with survival here. So the energy of red waratah assists in bursting through stagnation with new insight, power, and passionate energy. Inner strength is highlighted, and connections with life purpose, new beginnings, and even new passions and love. Take note of any new ideas that come forward at this time, as they are important and most definitely contain the seeds of future successes. You can also be certain that you have the capacity to overcome current obstacles and take control of your situation. Courage is indicated, so you may have to step up and be brave. Stop looking for answers and relying on assistance from the outside, because really you do have all you need within. As a healer, it's a wonderful strengthener of the mind, bringing clarity to thought and decision making. The challenge is in not repeating past mistakes or to become overconfident. So beautiful. Returning to the sacred, survival. It is true that survival is a very sacred path. Peace and grounding, ancient healing wisdom. With these ideas and decision making and being a leader in your life. Okay. So our central card is Billy Buttons, which they have called Peace here. I'm not that familiar with Billy Buttons. I'm pretty sure I've seen it in the nurseries. I've never grown it myself. It's from far inland Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, and South Australia. Flower in spring and summer. Billy Buttons heralds peace, an end to disputes, and a prompt to settle disagreements. They signal that you may be the peacemaker and indicate to you that now is the time to make it happen, to move forward in order for balance to be resolved. If you felt that you cannot fight on, then the appearance of Billy Buttons says, don't. Now is not the time for fighting. It's time to make peace. A new way of thinking and tackling the issues will present when heads are calm. The challenge is arrogance and a win-at-all-costs attitude. However, you may need to ask yourself or others what they are fighting for. Billy Buttons brings peace, calm, and serenity. It works well with those in disputes and as a mediation support. So maybe, yeah, peace. Keep things simple to keep the peace in your life. It's true. When things are, simplified and organized, there is a real peace that comes from that. Abundance, persistence, proliferation, breath. Yeah, so returning to the breath. So we've got this Page of Cups, this reflection, this celebration of victory. So focus on your breathing. There is abundance. Keep things simple and peaceful. The last one we have is the Cooktown Orchid, which has attitude. I mean, just look at the color of the flowers on this one. I'm not sure I know this one either. Okay, it's the floral emblem of Queensland. So it's native to the far northern Queensland coastal forests. I've been to Northern Queensland, I think twice. But I don't remember it. I might not have been there when it was flowering. Yeah, so attitude plays a big part in much of life and what we hope to change, create, and inspire, but sometimes we fail to put into practice what we know. Cooktown Orchid illuminates this cause as being directly connected with attitude. A simple shift will move mountains right now. This can also be a nod that you're on the far right track and an affirmation that your attitude is what is getting you the results you're enjoying. Cooktown Orchid also indicates alternating health answers and the ability to change your thoughts surrounding situations. The challenge is indecision, negative attitudes, and illogical thinking that can hinder progress. As a healer, it's a wonderful supporter for those working with inner self-healing methods and for those with rebellious, counterproductive tendencies. Wow, okay. So, and linked with this relationship balance, yeah. So it really is about the attitude, your attitude toward this relationship balance in your life. The phases and cycles, reflecting on new ideas with your links to, your celebratory cycles with others. So that's your reading for today. Just a little bit of musing on the true sky. So the moon is still currently in Virgo. It will be in Virgo for at least another day or so, and then it will move into true sky Libra. We do still have the sun in Taurus and Uranus, and also Mercury. We have Venus and Jupiter in Gemini, and Mars is still in Aries, and Chiron, Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, Pluto in Capricorn. So yeah, we've got like a lot of the ones that are, the North Node's still in Aquarius, the South Node's in Leo. However, very soon, the beginning of June, which isn't that far off now, Jupiter will be moving into true sky Cancer. So Jupiter in Cancer is a very exalted combination. It's really blessed, and especially in the nakshatra, now I'm talking Vedic system, that it's in at the moment. It's in a really good position right now. So that really brings a lot of blessings to, Cancerian things like family and mothers and, caregivers and nurturers and those kind of, roles and people. And just nourishment in general. So it's a really lovely influence to have. Jupiter in Gemini is not like bad or anything. It's just more mental. It's more of a mental good time for new ideas and things like that. Even collaborating with others, because Gemini is a very social sign. But yeah, that is happening soon. Mercury will move in also to Gemini soon as well. Yeah, we do have that full moon coming up really soon too. I hope you're doing amazing and that you got something out of this reading. And, whether it's like clarity on something or just opening up your, thoughts about a certain situation in your life. I hope it resonated. If it didn't, take what does and leave the rest. It is a general reading, so yeah, it's not specifically the whole thing aimed at one here. And if you could subscribe or comment any interactivity is great, and if you already have, thank you so much. I'm grateful for every one of you, and I hope you have a great day ahead, and I'll be back again soon with another reading. Okay, bye. Thank you.